Ladies and gentlemen, good day and welcome to BSE's Q4 FY21 earnings conference call. My name is Steven and I'll be the moderator for today's conference. As a reminder, all participant lines will be in the listen-only mode and there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions after the presentation concludes. Should you need assistance during the conference call, please signal an operator by pressing star, then 0 on your touchtone phone. Please note that this conference is being recorded. I now hand the conference over to Ms. Vishma Venu, BSE Limited. Thank you and over to you, ma'am.
Hello everyone and welcome to BSE's earnings call to discuss Q4 FY21 results. This is Vishma from Investor Relations. Joining us today on this earnings call is BSE's leadership team consisting of Mr. Ashish Kumar Chauhan, Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Nayan Mehta, Chief Financial Officer, Mr. Samir Patil, Chief Business Officer, Mr. Girish Joshi, Chief Trading Operations and Listing Sales, Mr. Neeraj Kulshreshtha, Chief Regulatory Officer, Mr. Percy Tavaria, Chief Information Officer. Do note that the conference is being recorded and transcript of the same will be available on our website. The financial results and investor presentation are also available on our website. Before we get started, I would like to take this opportunity to remind you that our remarks today will include forward-looking statements. Actual results may differ materially from those contemplated by these forward-looking statements. Any forward-looking statements that we make on this call are based on assumption as of today, and BSE assumes no obligation to update these statements as a result of new information or future events. I will now request Mr. Ashish Kumar Chauhan to give a brief overview of the company's performance, followed by a Q&A session.
Thank you, Vishma. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon to everyone wherever you have joined from. Thank you for joining the call today. Wish you all Eid Mubarak. And also wish that all of you are safe and healthy. It is my pleasure to inform that the Board of Directors of BSE has recommended a final dividend 21 per equity share, having face value of rupees 2 for the financial year 2020-21, subject to the approval of the shareholders in the ensuing annual general meeting. The total payout with a dividend payout ratio of 99% of current year profits would be rupees 96.19 crore on standalone basis. It's almost 14 months since India went into a nationwide lockdown to COVID-19 pandemic. Post the relaxation in lockdown last year, few of us were back to work at office, at least partly, until few weeks back when the second wave of COVID-19 emerged in Maharashtra and selective states imposed mobility restrictions. Despite all the challenges posed by COVID-19 pandemic and its effect on lives of many of us, BSE, as expected, has been operating seamlessly without any interruption all throughout this period and has also been able to undertake new initiatives as well as improve its operational performance during this period. Today, we report a quarter and a fiscal year that reflects that effort. This quarter, BSE's operational revenues grew by 27% corresponding to the same quarter previous year. Further, BSE's net profit for the quarter ending 31st March 2021 was rupees 32.57 crore as against a loss of rupees 1.31 crores in the corresponding quarter previous year. I'm indeed happy to inform you that BSE has been able to demonstrate significant growth in business activities and revenues across primary markets, trading and distribution segments during the financial year 2020-21. Let me start by covering a primary market segment. In the last financial year 2020-21, while the global economy faced adversities due to the pandemic, the various issuers raised over rupees 3.65 lakh crores through 755 issues on BSE bond platform. BSE bond platform continues to be the preferred choice by India Incorporated to raise debt capital through private placements, structured instruments, public issues and also by municipal corporations for issuing municipal bonds. Various issuers also raised more than 1.33 lakh crore rupees through IPOs, preferential and rights issues during the financial year 2020-21. The above was in addition to over rupees 16.06 lakh crore of privately placed bonds and commercial papers listed on BSE during the financial year 2021, the total amount raised was 18.53 lakh crore, or more than $250 billion during the financial year 2020-21. It is encouraging to see how Indian investors have shown faith in investing funds in Indian corporate sector through BSE platforms, and that Indian capital markets has come of age, that it is able to raise $250 billion in one single financial year. BSE continues to be the preferred exchange for investments in India, and India takes BSE as an investment exchange. The total number of investors registered with BSE has been consistently growing, and currently they stand over 6.77 crores. In last 1 year alone, BSE has raised the number of investors by 1.79 crores, which is larger than the nearest exchange by almost 100%, and literally more than double that of both the depositories put together. I'll now update on you the trading platforms at BSE, starting with equity cash segment. BSE is seeing increasing participation from high-frequency traders. Further, enablement of base price execution by certain large broking houses has also resulted in the increased turnover in our equity cash segment. With BSE's superior technology and customer-friendly front-end software, the average daily turnover in the equity cash segment increased by 57% from rupees 2676 crore in financial year 2019-20 to rupees 4197 crore in financial year 2020-21. The same is also reflected in the company's strong operational performance in the current period. BSE is yet to realize the full potential and benefit of interoperability across clearing corporations. Interoperability across clearing corporations facilitates creation and transfer of liquidity among stock exchanges. Interoperability facility is currently fully operational at exchange level and clearing house level in equities, equity derivatives, and currency derivative segments of the exchange. However, it has been observed that some brokers are not able to provide the facility of interoperability across clearing corporation to their clients yet. This has resulted in the benefits of interoperability as envisaged by SEBI, like netting of trades across exchanges on real time, lower margins, etc., not being offered to investors. Therefore, the BSE has decided to request members to provide interoperability facility to their clients at the earliest, failing which there might be imposition of penalties. As informed in our earlier earnings call, BSE has increased its transaction charges in the equity segment effective 1st March 2021 to bring it in line with the competing exchange. In financial year 2020-21, BSE witnessed significant growth in turnover in its equity derivative segment. The launch of Sensex 50 contracts with differentiated expiry date from 29 June 2020 has attracted a lot of attention and interest from the market participants. It has been the primary reason for growth in BSE's market share in equity derivative segment from 0.1% in financial year 2019 to 5.2% for the financial year 2021. The average daily turnover in equity derivative segment for March 2021 a quarter was rupees 2.78 lakh crore. Needless to say, increasing turnover of equity derivatives contract can lead to increased liquidity in the equity cash segment also, and market share also over time. Let me move on to commodity derivative segment now. BSE is India's second largest commodity derivatives exchange in India and offers a wide gamut of products across agri and non-agri segments. Keeping up with its spirit of innovation and to meet market requirements, BSE was the first exchange to launch options in goods contracts in gold, mini, and silver kg based on spot prices from June 1, 2020. It has completed 9 consecutive months of physical deliveries at the exchange designated value vault in Ahmedabad and Gujarat. The average daily turnover in the commodity derivative segment is steadily rising. The average daily turnover in commodity segment for the year ended 31st March 2021 was rupees 2392 crores, and it has now almost reached 9% of the overall commodities market in India. And BSE has become the second largest commodities derivatives exchange in India now. The currency derivative segment continues to provide a platform for trading in currencies. The average turnover in our currency derivative segment for the year ended 31st March 2021 was rupees 20,913 crore. BSE's market share in this segment for the financial year 2020-21 was 29.6%. Small and medium sector enterprises are the backbone of Indian economy. Growth of SME can lead to significantly higher capital formation in the country. BSE has been actively encouraging listing of SMEs in India. As on 31st March 2020, 334 companies were listed on BSE's SME segment. The said companies raised funds amounting to rupees 3,470 crores and their market capitalization as on 31st March 2021 exceeded rupees 21,000 crore, and as of date, it has exceeded even 25,000 crore rupees. BSE's market share in listing of companies in SME segment stood strong at 61% at 31st March 2021. BSE is the first exchange in India to launch startup platform in December 2018 for promoting listing of startups in IT, ITES, biotech, and many other high-tech industries. 9 startups had raised rupees 33.5 crore on this platform and listed on startup platform as on 31st March 2021. I shall now discuss the mutual fund distribution platform. BSE Star MF, India's largest mutual fund distribution platform, continued its stellar growth throughout the 2020-21. In financial year 2021, the number of transactions processed by BSE Star MF grew by 63% to over 9.38 crore transactions as compared to 5.75 crore transactions in financial year 2019-20. The superior support system and distribution reach of BSE Star MF has enabled the platform to grow exponentially with over 69,700 registered distributors in India. BSE's market share in this segment for the year ended 31st March 2021 stands at 81.8%. It may be noted that the BSE Star MF has a consistent net equity inflow of investments during financial year 2020-21, when the industry was seeing net outflow in their equity-based schemes. The net equity inflow to mutual funds through BSE Star MF platform during financial year 2020-21 was rupees 22,444 crores, as against the net equity outflow of rupees 25,965 crores in the industry. BSE Star MF platform continues to scale new peaks of transactions in a single day. The platform processed a record 17.84 lakh transactions in a single day on 12th April 2021, surpassing the previous best record of 15.52 lakh transactions on 5th April 2021. The BSE Star MF platform has continued its unabated growth with processing 1.1 crore transactions in April 2021 as compared to 63.17 lakh transactions in April 2020. The BSE Star MF app, mobile app launched in May 2019 to help mutual fund distributors register clients on real-time basis and execute paperless transactions, has been well received by the investment community and has processed over 22.20 lakh transactions till 30th April 2021. BSE plans to launch services providing many more detailed activities using its BSE Star MF platform to all the distributors from May 2021, that is next week. I shall cover developments at our subsidiary companies now. BSE promoted India International Exchange at GIFT City, Gandhinagar, has been growing exponentially ever since its commercial trading activities on January 16, 2017. Average trading turnover on India INX for the financial year 2021 increased by 207% to $6.96 billion as compared to $0.226 billion for the financial year 2019-20. It has witnessed an all-time high turnover of over $30 billion on 10th March 2021. The previous all-time high turnover was $24.13 billion on 14 January 2021. This increased trading activity validates the new products and initiatives taken by India INX and reflects growing interest in the IFSC among the broking fraternity. Even during the COVID-19 pandemic and lockdown, India INX was operational for 22 hours non-stop every day and has maintained its leadership as the #1 exchange in IFSC GIFT City. India INX is the dominant IFSC exchange in GIFT City with market share of 85% in derivatives trading and 72% in bond listing for the year ended 31st March 2021. BSE's stake in India INX stood at 90.72% as on 31st March 2020. Thereafter, the stake has come down to 86.64% due to preferential issue amounting to rupees 7.5 crore by India Next to certain investors. Similarly, BSE stake in India ICC, which is BSE Promoted International Clearing Corporation and GIFT City, Gandhinagar, has gone down from 90.1% as on 31st March 2020 to 82.96%, post preferential issue amounting to rupees 7.63 crores by India ICC to certain investors. BSE EBIX Insurance Broking Private Limited, a joint venture of BSE and EBIX FinCorp Exchange Private Limited, has beta launched its operations on 7th February 2020 with the offering of private car and two-wheeler auto insurance. Currently has 7 general insurance companies, 2 standalone health insurance companies, and 3 life insurance companies on its platform. As on 30th April 2021, BSE EBIX registered 2,492 certified point of sales. During the financial year 2021, the company intermediated issues of 8,698 policies with premium amounting to rupees 2.75 crores. BSE holds equity stake of 40% through its subsidiary BSE Investment Limited. As informed in our earlier earnings call, BSE launched an electronic spot platform for agricultural commodities known as BSE E-Agriculture Markets Limited BEAM through its wholly owned subsidiary BSE Investment Limited on December 11, 2020. During the quarter ended 31st March 2020, Frontier Agricultural Platform Private Limited, FAPL, through its joint venture with BSE Investment Limited, picked up a 40% equity stake in BEAM. Also on 25th March 2021, BEAM signed a memorandum of understanding with Steel Users Federation of India to help and develop electronic spot markets in steel and enhance efficiencies of steel spot markets in the country. BSE, along with PTC India Limited and ICICI Bank Limited, had promoted Pran Urja Solutions Limited and filed a petition with the Power Market Regulator CERC on 7th September 2018 for grant of license for setting up a new power exchange. CERC has granted registration to establish and operate a power exchange to Pran Urja Solutions Limited on May 12, 2021. BSE has a stake of 22.61% in the proposed power exchange through its wholly owned subsidiary BSE Investment Limited. On a consolidated basis, the profit attributable to shareholders of the company for the quarter ended 31st March 2021 has increased to rupees 32.57 crore as against loss of rupees 1.31 crore for the corresponding quarter of previous year. The revenue from operations of the quarter ended 31st March 2021 has increased by 27% to rupees 152.18 crore as against rupees 119.56 crore for the corresponding quarter previous year. Expenses for the quarter ended 31st March 2021 has decreased by 15% to rupees 133 crore as compared to rupees 156.13 crore for the corresponding quarter previous year. The operating EBITDA has increased by rupees 59.40 crore to rupees 37.25 crore for the quarter ended 31st March 2021 as against operating loss of rupees 22.15 crore for the corresponding quarter previous year. The operating EBITDA margin stands at 24% for the quarter ended 31st March 2021 as against minus 19% for the corresponding quarter previous year. On a consolidated basis, the profit attributable to shareholders of the company excluding exceptional items for the financial year ended 31st March 2021 has increased by 19% to rupees 144.90 crore as against rupees 122.27 crore for the previous financial year ended 31st March 2020. The total revenue for the financial year ended 31st March 2021 has increased by 4% to rupees 654.65 crore as against rupees 630 crore for the previous financial year ending 31st March 2020. Expenses have decreased by 4% to rupees 530.70 crore for financial year 2020-21 as against rupees 553.2 crore for the financial year 2019-20. The operating EBITDA increased by rupees 88.12 crore to rupees 38.84 crore for the financial year ended 31st March 2021 as against operating loss of rupees 49.28 crore for the previous financial year ended 31st March 2020. The operating EBITDA margin stands at 8% for the financial year ended 31st March 2021 as against negative 11% for the previous financial year ended 31st March 2020. Before I conclude, I wish again everyone in this call safe and happy Eid and continue to stay safe. With this overview, let me welcome you once again and invite all of you for the question and answer session. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on their touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. A reminder to the participants, please limit your questions to 2 per participant. Should you have any follow-up, may we request you to rejoin the queue, please. The first question is from the line of Siddhant Dan from Goodwill. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Congratulations on the good numbers. My primary question was on the commodity side. So, in your commodity options, in commodity derivatives, I believe 99% of our volumes come from bullion options. Is that correct?
Yes, Samir,
yes, that's correct.
Yeah, so what is, is there any factor driving our success behind it, or like were we the first, because we were the first players to enter the segment? Can we replicate this elsewhere?
Yes. So when the exchanges are allowed to launch commodity segment, the LES was not allowed to endorse products as per SEBI rules. So the BSE came forward, formed a working group, and launched the options in goods contract. And Gold Mini was the options on goods contract where the LES was launched, approved by SEBI. And there we saw very good traction, not only trading volumes, but also some active participation from the hedgers and physical deliveries happening, not only on the London good delivery, also on the India good delivery, Indian standard delivery. Besides, we have launched almond contracts also, but and it's the only contract in the world which has been launched on the BSE. It's an innovative contract. There's been some good participation from the hedgers. There's been deliveries to the tune of 147 tons till date. We have guar seed, guar gum, and other agri commodities. And turmeric is also doing well, yes, but the quantum of trade for the gold is exceedingly high. Thank you.
Okay. One of the reasons why our options business is doing well is because everyone started, as you rightly said, in the same time in that options goods. But our technology basically allows literally millions of transactions in a minute, while in options, normally there are several series under the same underlying compared to futures. Futures, you would have 2 or 3 series working at any point in time, whereas in options, it could be 30, 50, or even 100 series working at any point in time, and it requires very fast engine to allow so many orders to be taken back and to be placed, which we believe no other exchange in this country has. And in a sense, our early success in the options for goods in commodities shows our technological superiority, and of course our focus on commodities too. But it basically, the way I look at it is going forward, the way it has happened in even equities, that almost everyone is going to options due to the SPT being very, very low in options vis-a-vis futures, and even lower compared to, literally 100 times lower compared to the equities delivery. Similarly here, we believe that due to the lower CTD, a lot of people will move from the futures to the options, and we are rightly placed for providing this facilities with the technology that is required. While as we believe that other people who are now pretty much in the on the last leg of their technologies, which are themselves old, may find it very difficult to match our technology and the user needs that they require in this kind of fast-moving markets.
And we are not charging right now, right? Our competition isn't charging for options. So are we charging for options?
So currently we are basically trying to build the market. Any market is built, then the charges become in a way. So as and when we have a very large market, we have done that in currencies, futures and options, where we first built the large market and we started charging small amounts, and markets have accepted it well.
Okay, congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Vinod Datar, an individual investor. Please go ahead.
Good evening, sir. Congratulations on delivering good numbers. My question is relating to setting up of power exchange. As you just told, that CERC has approved setting of a third power exchange platform in the country, floated by PTC India along with BSE Investments and ICICI Bank. Can you update us on timeline of launching such power exchange?
Thank you. As per the order, we have to launch the exchange within 3 months. We are testing the technology as of now. Of course, it has taken a long time for the approval to come. In the meantime, ready with the technology. So it will be tested some further, and if required, any changes are required, we will make those changes. But effectively, currently, we are confident of starting it in this calendar year itself. BSE will be the largest stakeholder currently in the exchange due to regulatory structure. BSE is going to own 24%. Vis-a-vis other partners who, because of the regulations, may or may not be allowed to own for the long term those kind of numbers. But effectively, BSE is a pretty much prime mover in this business with PTC and ICICI Bank.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Pritesh Vora from Mission Holding. Please go ahead.
Well, congratulations. Such a high payout ratio, almost 100% in the dividend. So first of all, congratulations for rewarding the shareholder. Dividend yield almost 3%. So my question pertains to our expenses. Like say our technology related expenses only 115 crore. Despite we have to maintain the similar network as that of NSE, where NSE's expenses is 5 times ours. So what are we doing differently? Our expenses related to systems and technology such a low.
No, thank you. I think this is an interesting question. Not many people understand that technology is the one place where the difference between a lot of spending and getting a not very good product vis-a-vis smart spending and doing smart work and getting great sort of results becomes very apparent, because technology is not like commodity. And what we do is we have basically a subsidiary called BSE Technologies, earlier it Marketplace Technologies, and we have a team in BSE which basically we make our own technology. We not only make our technology, but we also sell those technologies to third parties, including some of the largest brokers of India, in back office, in trading, in mobile, in risk management, in many, many areas. Including, we also sell software for starting new stock exchanges or new exchange of any type. And that has allowed us to start new exchanges in Gandhinagar Gift City, in sort of coming out with new segments at a drop of a hat with literally zero marginal cost of technology. And that is what basically is taken us a long time. We were not long back, we were what I call not considered good in technology. Today, after February 24th, all of us have figured out what happens even if you spend so much money. If you don't know how to spend or what you are looking for or what is actually required in your business, you may not get the great results. And that's where the differential between BSE strategy. What has BSE over last 10 years has changed its complete trading system. No exchange in the country has done it before. It was easy to go from manual to automated, but automation 1 to automation 2, no large entity in India has changed their systems except BSE. BSE changed its systems in 2013-14 completely. In trading, which is a very, very tough situation because you can't even have a 1 second break. But BSE also changed the entire network equipment, the broker end, at its own end, it has changed all its hardware, its software, and what it has done is that it has literally gone into open source architecture as much as possible. So today, BSE's main trading system called Bolt Plus uses Linux, and that reduces your cost drastically of operations, maintenance, in terms of license fees and so on and so forth. It allows you to scale up because Google, Facebook, all of them are on the open system, open source architecture, and that's where basically BSE has gone slowly. It has taken us 10, 12 years to do this, but today BSE is pretty much the strongest exchange in the country in terms of the technology, the strength of its sort of team, which does, and its ability to create newer ways of using that technology for newer markets, and that's why it's able to do that in mutual fund distribution or FX or Gandhinagar Gift City or power trading or any other thing you can think of. BSE is there, including insurance, is because of that reason. And when, as you rightly said, 5, 6 times, 10 times, 20 times, you may spend a lot of money. That doesn't mean you are able to implement, right? And most exchanges in the country and the world are not able to implement what they buy. While we are able to do that in an extremely frugal way. And that's why we actually, in a way, represent what I call frugal Indian innovation. And we have got a lot of awards for that. But effectively, we run, as you rightly said, data centers in 2 cities, disaster recovery sites in Mumbai twice and also in Hyderabad. We match on capacity to capacity, capabilities to capability, speed to speed. Today, we are the fastest exchange in the world with 6 microseconds response time. In 1 second, there are 1 million microseconds. There is no exchange even 10 times closer to us. So no exchange even in 60 microseconds in the world today. We are in, although we advertise 6 microseconds, our normal response time will be 2-3 microseconds. And so why I gave you this long lecture is that basically we are a technology company in the guise of an exchange, and not many of the people could even realize that what we were building up was basically for allowing BSE to expand into newer areas which are more lucrative and continue to fight in the older areas, what we call red ocean, vis-a-vis the newer areas of blue ocean. Literally everything that is newly allowed in the last 5-6 years, whether it's on distribution, whether it's commercial papers, whether it's IPOs or mutual funds, anything, even City Gandhinagar, BSE is the front forward in that and has market share in excess of 70-80%. And that's what tells you the power of technology that BSE has now achieved. But continue going forward, you will see increasing returns on that technology.
Sir, do vendor are linked with any variable component in the expenses linked to the revenue, or it is just a fixed component?
The vendors don't have any revenue share with us.
Okay. But is there any variable component in that expense?
No, because
linked to revenue.
Most of our core technology is owned by BSE and actually maintained by BSE teams. Either BSE's own or BSE subsidiary, which is 100% owned by BSE, called BSE Technology. So we depend on third-party vendors for hardware, for providing manpower sometimes, but IPs belong to BSE most of the time.
So there is no variable component?
Correct.
Okay. My next question is, sir, about the interoperability between the exchange. Can you elaborate this particular point which you mentioned in your opening address?
Basically, what happened is in 2018, SEBI came out with a regulation to have interoperability between exchanges. So interoperability between exchanges and their clearing houses happened. But the brokers who had to also provide similar interoperability. So if you buy, say, Reliance on BSE and sell after 10 minutes on NSE, your net position should become zero at that moment. And you don't have to pay double the margin. Instead, whatever the profit or loss happened, you should have actually got that. But most brokers did not bother about it. On one exchange, they were passing on all the costs to their clients. They were not, in a way, diversifying their own risk. And they were dependent on one single exchange, most of them. After 24th February, when one large exchange did not work for several hours, everyone realized that they also need to diversify. As much as they advise their customers to diversify their portfolio, the brokers also need to diversify. And that's why SEBI had come out with this interoperability, so that in case one exchange or one clearinghouse fails, the brokers are or their clients are able to trade on other exchange or other clearinghouse, which did not happen on that day, on February 24, 2021. And so many brokers have now realized the problem with that strategy. So they have gone on war footing to now connect to both exchanges on real time, to connect to both exchanges on interoperability basis. That is, if you buy on one exchange and sell on the other exchange at the same moment, you only get to pay the net or receive the net amount. And that is what will be the true interoperability available to clients, so that they, as a country also, we are not dependent on too big to fail one single exchange.
Right. And if I can squeeze one more question,
Mr. Vora?
What is the economics about our mutual fund product? What is the economics presently? Are we making money? We are losing money?
No, for first 9 years, since 2009 and started this framework of BSE Star MF, for first 9 years we could not charge because our competition also did not charge. But we became large enough, so we were bold to start charging. And then slowly we started charging. Now we, of course, when you start charging after a long time, there are people who resist, there are disputes. Those all have been resolved over last 3 years. And now we have all our mutual funds paying the decided amounts. And it is a reasonably profitable business. The exact amount we have not declared, but it's a pretty nicely profitable business of now for us. But of course, the volumes, last year we had to reduce the charges because we wanted to arrive at a consensus with mutual funds and MP, so that charging happens on a regular basis. And I'm delighted to inform you that all the disputes have been resolved with the mutual fund community, and now we had to reduce our charges, but in some ways it has been made up. The reduction in the total amounts, gross amounts, has been made up by the volume that has increased. So I think it's a win-win solution for everyone.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Abhishek Maheshwari, an individual investor. Please go ahead.
Hello.
Mr. Abhishek Maheshwari, your line is in talk mode. Kindly go ahead with your question, please.
My question is about the reserves which BSE has, about 2,000 crores. How much are we able to make on that on an annual basis, and what kind of instruments we are invested in?
Nayan, you want to?
Sure, sir. So, Mr. Abhishek, our total net worth is around 2,187 crores, and of which obviously a part of it is invested in strategic investments, which earn us dividend. But other than that, our total investment would be in the range of around 1,200 to 1,400 crores, depending on the time of year. And we earn around 5.5% to 6% on an average. But going forward, it will be around 5% for next year. Because we have to invest strictly in very AAA rated papers, that also mostly PSU or government papers, SGL. And we don't take any credit risk when we are fixing our portfolio, when we are placing our portfolio. So it is either fixed deposits or very, very safe mutual fund. And we also part of the portfolio of each mutual fund.
Thanks.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Vikram Kotak from Ace Lansdowne. Please go ahead.
Yeah, congratulations to BSE team on a great number. I have two questions. One is, in Blue Ocean business, how much money we need to invest in next couple of years? That's question one.
Our strategy of Blue Ocean business has to be the same or similar areas as we are currently. And
right.
So for technology expenses, our manpower expenses, we actually expense out in that year only.
Okay.
Capitalize and then show larger profits.
Right.
And so strategy for last 12 years since I have been here is to expense out as much as we can so that we don't pay more taxes. Rather than trying to show extra profits, and then continue to pay taxes, and that anyway will come and hit you somewhere in the depreciation later on.
Right.
So basically, whatever our current sort of pace of investment is will continue.
Sure.
Don't foresee any extra like huge amount of investments on our current blue ocean areas.
Yeah, sure, Ashish. And one more question I have is we've seen a very good EBITDA margin in last quarter, not only year-on-year, but on the quarter-on-quarter, because that's the right comparison. You see these margins are sustainable because I can see your costs are very stable or is coming down across the board, whether it's operating expenses or technology someone mentioned or even people expenses. So do you think so these margins are likely to see a upward bias over, say, next 2 to 3 years, not maybe a quarter-on-quarter, but over a medium term?
Basically, the way we look at it is we are investing continuously, not in anything else, but in bringing newer businesses to the fore. So whether it's Gandhinagar, whether it is our own derivatives business, where we actually are including commodity derivatives, where we are actually paying for order flow. And so basically, we continue to invest, which is actually shown as our expenses. Right? That's where, depending on how much success we are and when we are able to charge in those businesses. But today we have like 7, 8, 10 newer businesses, which competition plays out fairly. We will be able to make huge money in all of them simultaneously. But you know that life is not so fair. And so we might have to continue to invest in some of them. Some of them we might end up charging a little more in time to come sooner. Those, so I'm not able to predict the competitive going forward, but we'll continue to win is a fact. And we'll continue to create winners, which in the long 5 to 10 year scale are going to get us huge returns like what mutual fund did. For 5 years, no, not a single rupee, but every year I'm charging expenses. And people were, you are foolish to sort of create such long-term businesses. But that's how it happens so fast. The contribution of mutual funds to our top line, bottom line is so because of that patience happens. In bond distribution, in GIFT City, like for example, in the month of April, I've been told that GIFT City, Gandhinagar, right? And so, but we are basically raising those winners using the technological edge we have in raising newer and newer markets, right?
Right. Thank you. Thank you, Ashish Bhai. Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question is from the line of Navdeep, an individual investor. Please go ahead.
Sir, good evening.
Good evening. Hello.
Mr. Navdeep, you may proceed with your question, please. Seems like we lost the connection for the current participant. We move to the next question from the line of Santosh Keshri from Keshri and Company. Please go ahead.
Hello, sir. Good evening. Congratulations on such a good set of numbers. It's good to see that BSE is back in the growth stage. I have 2 questions. One is about arbitration expenses that we had that we paid to S&P Dow Jones. So the question is that after paying this, are we expecting any payback of this in future, or we are still fighting the arbitral award, or it is like a cost that is gone and we are not going to recover it? And related with this is that if we had paid this much, so did we get anything out of breaking the contract with S&P DJ? That is first question. And second question is about liquidity enhancement scheme that we have. Like in FY 2021, we spent almost 34 crore for liquidity enhancement scheme. And is this giving us any payback? Like after spending 34 crore, are we able to earn on the expense something more than this? What could be the payback out of this sort of investment that we are doing, if you can clarify?
So
if you can throw some light on this. Yeah.
Basically, there are commercial disputes which arise amongst partners, and so that is what has happened. And the arbitration award went against us, and we have paid the money to the S&P fully. We are not going beyond that, and that has been expensed out in the year. And so that shouldn't be a matter of concern. But the company called Asia Index Private Limited, Asia Index Services Private Limited, has started making profits, and it is reasonably large, so that over a period, that's much more than what we have invested in the company. Having said that, on the second question of whether if you earn, if you invest today, whether today or not, ours is what I call creating markets is what I call long duration activity, and fraught with risks. We have successfully raised a market called currency markets, where we started around 7 years after the top market leaders, two of them, and now we have become the second largest and very significant market share, and we started charging then after we became second largest, little amounts. And so similarly, I gave example of mutual funds where we started second, and we had to also subsidize the users because the competition was subsidizing. In the newer markets like commodities or equity derivatives, where we are still distant second, although we are second largest, we are distant second. We need to create that market. We need to create that confidence in the market structures and so on and so forth. And this is going to be a long-term investment framework for BSE. We have, in a way, seen some success in equity derivatives last year, where we have become we started trading almost 2-3 lakh crore a day, which was unimaginable a few years back. And today, probably it might be even more in month of April and May. So we see these are very, very promising. But when it starts giving us results, and when we start charging as and when market allows us, then the outcome can be really, really like a what I call optional, option type of payout, or like a lottery type of payout, right? So when you become successful in raising any market, the outcomes could be like really, really, really large, right? And that's what we are playing by investing this small amount into creating those markets.
Right, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Sudhir Kovadia from PH Financial and Investment. Please go ahead.
Good evening, sir, and thank you for giving this opportunity. Can you just put some colors on members' deposit in form of cash and FD? I mean, if we can get the breakup about the portion of members' contribution in other current liabilities.
Ma'am?
Yeah. So we don't have too much of we don't charge as heavy as what the competing exchange charges, and the liability which we would be having in our books would be running into a few hundred crores at the most. I'll just can I just tell you in 2 minutes after some time? I'll just respond to this in call. Okay.
Yeah, sure, no issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not significant.
So the deposit received from trading members is approximately 150 crores at the most.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, due to time constraint, we will be taking the last 3 questions. The next question is from the line of Ojas, an individual investor. Please go ahead.
Hi team, good evening and congratulations for the wonderful results that we've just seen. My question pertains to our stake or our business segment, that is Star MF platform. Now there was this media house that reported on the 20th of November 2020 that we were willing or looking to sell some stake out of the BSE Star MF platform and it was being valued at about 2,000 crores. So are we, thinking on those lines where we sort of sell out some minority stake in the Star MF platform and probably see it grow from there, like we did with CDSL? And looking at CDSL's market cap in the past 3 or 4 months, do we plan to do something on those lines with the one Star MF? And secondly, I'm coming to the India International Exchange again. I was just going through the investor presentation. We have about 84.4% stake there. So, do we have a regulatory cap there? Is there a lock-in period, or can we sort of sell some portion of it? That's my first question.
Yeah. So Star MF, we are trying to basically create a benchmark, as you would say. And so as and when any serious investors with strategic intent comes, our board has given the mandate to ICICI Securities to search for such a party, but we are not in a hurry to divest at any amount or any valuation. And we are what and our investors, our final investors, and that's what is the aim here. But as and when it happens, we would be willing to look at those. And in terms of India INX and India ICC, they've already started taking newer shareholders. Last year, they had taken ICICI Bank. This year, they have taken a few more. In fact, I have been told even BCB has taken some stake now. And many more are in the pipeline currently.
Okay. So at the moment, do we hold 100% of the stake in Star MF platform?
Yes. It's a division of BSE.
Yeah, correct, fair. And how about CDSL's remaining 20%? Do we have a regulatory cap there, or is it liquid?
Regulation which says we have to bring it down to 15%. I think still we have 1.5, 2 years more to go. But there are also newspaper articles about SEBI wanting to take away that cap. And if they do, then we may not sell at all, right? So that's basically all our divestment of CDSL was due to the reg framework. We used to own 54% at certain stage. And then slowly the regulations changed to make it to 24% and then to 15%. And that's how, and we being a completely fully compliant exchange, we try to all regulations.
Okay, so if you look at it from a 5 or 7 year perspective, we still plan to sort of hold CDSL if SEBI allows us to do so.
Yes.
Am I correct?
As of now, that is the way it is.
Okay, so my last question is that again, our peer stock exchange might be going in for an IPO soon, and according to regulatory constraints, it might again get listed on BSE alone. So do we see our equity cash segment potentially do very well just because of that individual stock listing on our equity segment? And again, it might have a market cap of about 80,000, 90,000 odd crores according to the unlisted market. So do you see that that getting priced in the market cap at some point of time, or is it going to be is it indifferent for us?
In a way, why not? But again, how much does a single company trade on any exchange on a continuous basis, right? There are moments or periods like 15 days where they trade quite initial period. But over a period like Reliance with 12, 15 lakh crore market cap, how much does it take? 1% or 0.1% a day? And that's what you need to check that out. But effectively, as a self-regulatory organization, you are not allowed to even trade on yourself, not only not list, but not even trade on yourself. And that is the regulation by which we were not allowed to list on ourselves or not trade our stock, although it's listed on another exchange. And I'm sure that remains to be seen how the regulation works out in the future. But we have not had any issues on another exchange regulating us as far as listing is concerned. And nobody should have any objection to another exchange listing. Regulate them when it comes to their turn. And that's how I see it, that over a period, everyone.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Pawan Nahata an individual investor. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Ashish bhai, thank you so much for all the great things the BSE team has been doing. I had two questions. One was on best execution. You have said that certain brokers, some large brokers are doing that already, offering that. If you can just elaborate a little. And here, and I also want to check if my understanding is right. Let's say if I were to place an order to buy 1,000 shares via best execution, and the first 100 come from BSE because it is cheaper there, and the next 200 come from NSE, and again the next 100 come from BSE, and it just continues till I get my 1,000 shares. Yeah, so if you can just explain if that is the way it will work, and if that is the way it will work, that is all I would think BSE needs, because there will be many people who would then be very happy to put their order on BSE, because it doesn't matter. It will be the same effect wherever we place our order.
Right. So you place order on the market or on the broker and not necessarily on an exchange.
Sure.
It is also true that if you buy Reliance on BSE and you buy Reliance on NSE, both of them give you the same dividends. There is no dividend difference. But sometimes it comes into in our psyche that no, I need to trade on one particular exchange only. But for a normal user, as you rightly said, if you want to buy 1,000 shares and some portion gets bought in one exchange, some portion gets bought in another exchange, net if you get 1,000 at the lowest possible cost, that is what you are looking for.
Sure.
And that's what is the best execution. The interoperability is basically enabling that in a way. And if you are buying 500 and selling 500 again, which exchange you sell it on, it doesn't matter, because as far as you get the highest price for your shares, you should be interested in that, right? And as you rightly
as an investor, I want this, but it is not happening. No broker. I'm not aware of any broker who is offering this.
Geojit has started offering. Somebody had sent me their mobile app, which I had also sent to many of our brokers, saying this is what the best execution is. And best execution is not something of today. Best execution is in the SEBI regulations for now 25 years. It's just that somebody doesn't want it implemented. But now that BSE, everyone has now realized the impact of not going for interoperability, losing the business, taking huge risks on particular days like 24th February. Everyone has started now thinking about interoperability. And once you go interoperable, then best execution is actually the next stage of that. And it doesn't require any smartness to even achieve it. If you achieve the interoperability, then literally next second you can achieve the best execution. And BSE's own software, which is provided by its own subsidiary called BSE Technologies, and the software is called BOW, already provides to all the members for free on any exchange in India the best execution as well as interoperability on real time. So there are softwares already available. In fact, one of the seminars where I participated, even financial technology CEO said that they offer it to all their brokers free of cost. And so it's just that those brokers are not implementing because they are busy doing something else. And hopefully all of them will now start thinking about their own future going forward and get this done. But thank you for
I'll certainly try this on Geojit. Thank you. Second question I wanted to, is there any way BSE can push brokers to do this best execution?
What we have
SEBI dictat.
Yes, sir. What we have done is for the interoperability as a first stage, we have announced a minor penalty in the first month if they don't achieve that interoperability. And then later on that penalty per day is going to increase manifold. And so everyone is now working on giving you interoperability soon. And similarly for best price execution, which is a heavy regulation, again, in a way, there is a compulsion, there is an obligation on everyone, including exchanges, to provide that to the investors, although nobody has provided yet. But it is an obligation. And that's where I think slowly we will go in that direction too.
So if my understanding is right, this best execution is something which will perhaps, if implemented, also aid you in the power exchange. And I think there was a ministry notice wanting it?
Yeah, coupling. So they will take all the demands from different exchanges and combine and then allocate so that they are able to allocate most efficiently and things like that.
And will this slow down the system? Because somebody told me that it will slow down the system.
In the
equity
derivatives and equities, it's a microseconds. There is no slowdown at all because at the broker end, brokers are already getting both the exchange prices. It has to just take a look at in a microsecond which is the best price for you at that chunk and sends it to that exchange, and the next chunk and sends it to the next exchange and stuff like that. And so it is for a user. There is no thing. If you say power trading in a way, the allocation is non-real time. They can collect the order for a particular time and then allocate on an iteration basis after that, like a auction model, that you auction for like 30-50 minutes and then you take 10 minutes to allocate and stuff like that. So our market is slightly differently structured in India vis-a-vis the way its nitty-gritties work. It's because of that. But equity derivatives, commodity derivatives, you will not see even a microsecond difference because it's happening at the broker's terminal level.
Got it. And I was just hoping that with NSE listing, I mean, the Sensex will become a better representative of investing in India because Sensex will be the only index to have NSE. So maybe that helps.
I hope it does. Yeah, why not? These are all interesting, what I call mental exercises.
Kite flying, sorry. Thank you so much and all the best.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we take the last question from the line of Amit Chandra from HDFC Securities. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hello sir, thanks for the opportunity. So my simple question is on the StarMF platform. Sir, so the blended realization, if you see for the platform, has been pretty volatile, and fourth quarter, if I just calculate that, it has actually come down very sharply, and for the full year, it is around 3.7 rupees per transaction. So what is the sustainable rate here for the StarMF after the negotiations that have happened, and for the next year, what rate can we expect? And also on the technology spending, it has come down, significantly, both sequentially and YOY. So what has actually, led to that? And also on the other income, if you can explain. Thank you.
Amit, on the realization for mutual fund, our average realization has been 3.6 based on the number of transactions settled by us. And this is more or less a sustainable rate, plus or minus a few bits here and there. But this is something which we can factor in when we work on our working for our future growth path. The game for mutual fund, obviously, going forward for the next 1 or 2 years will be the volume expansion. Means that we have been growing at a very, very fast pace. We have done more than 62% year-on-year growth on that in spite of COVID. So obviously, and there is no, and even in the April has been much better than the earlier months. So you can factor in the Fed rate, and that should give you a reasonable idea. On the tech spending, would Kirti would like to say anything on that, Kirti?
Yeah. On the reduction in the technology, so it's not that we have reduced anything. It is when we invest any large technology, it takes a few years to settle down. So it is not every year we keep on rip and replace. So whenever we take a big chunk of transformation in that one particular year, the technology, subsequently couple of years it will be down. Next couple of years will be another big project. So it will be cyclical. You see up and down. So it's not always significantly lower.
Okay. So what is the sustainable range in terms of technology spend? So around 91 to 100 crores is what we can expect for the next year also?
Yeah.
Okay. And the other income, sir? Other income?
So in the other income, if you are talking of investments, the investments probably, will be, the investment income obviously will be tapered because of the low rate interest rate scenario. So over a long run, over the next few years, obviously we expect the yields to rise. But in the immediate future, because of the second wave of COVID and possible third wave, they may still remain subdued for some time. So there's not much to expect on the investment income side as far as the income expansion is concerned. On the other income, we have around 20 crores of income, which is mainly coming out of rental income, and that is more or less a very stable revenue source, and that should not get affected much.
Okay. Okay, sir. Thanks. Thank you. I would now like to end the conference back to Mr. Ashish Kumar Chauhan for closing comments. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, everyone, and stay safe, stay healthy. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of BSE Limited, that concludes this conference. We thank you all for joining us, and you may now disconnect your lines.